Are AI chatbots lying to you? And if they are, how do we stop it? It's one of the things that we're going to be talking about today on Everyday AI. This is your daily live stream, podcast, and free daily newsletter. Don't forget about the newsletter. You got to check it out. But we are here to help everyday people not just learn what's going on in the world of AI, because there's a ton, but how we can all actually leverage it. That's the important thing. All right. So, as a reminder, if you're joining live, there's a reason that we're doing this live. It's so you can learn, so we all can learn along together. So if you have any questions about why are these AI chatbots lying, or can I even access the internet, let me know. So before we get into that, let's talk about what's going on in the world of AI news. So, first, the Intel CEO made waves yesterday on a quarter two earnings call, saying that they're going to build AI into every platform they build. All right. Literally, he said every platform they build, there will be AI integrated. Obviously, Intel's stock has been going up. They just reported about $13 billion in revenue for the quarter and attributing just AI driving growth. So no surprise there, but having the CEO of one of the largest companies in the world saying that they're going to put AI into every platform they build, I think is a telling sign for the future of business. All right. Speaking of chatbots, yeah, they're easy to not just they lie to you sometimes, but they're easy to jailbreak too. So a new report from some US researchers, they released a paper just showing that there's some pretty easy ways to jailbreak Bard and ChatGPT and other chatbots. So this has been circulating all over online for a while, but this is one of the first kind of major kind of US one of the first major papers from US researchers showing just ways to use these chatbots to produce hate speech, toxic material, disinformation, right? You've probably all seen it, but a pretty big research paper that was just released on that. All right. The third news item that I wanted to touch on today is Sam Altman. So the OpenAI CEO recently sat down for an interview with the Atlantic magazine. And here's what he said, and it's making headlines, and I think it's important. In short, he said AI is definitely destroying jobs. There is this common misconception out there, where people say, "Hey, AI isn't going to take your job. Someone using AI will." That's kind of true, but it's also not the complete truth, because that person using AI will also take 10 other people's jobs or 20 other people's jobs. When you talk about AI growth, it is not a one-to-one replacement. So the actual quote that I wanted to share from this article, Sam Altman, again, the CEO of OpenAI, says, "A lot of people working on AI pretend that it's only going to be good. It's only going to be a supplement. No one is ever going to be replaced." But then he said, "Jobs are definitely going to go away, full stop." All right. So actual quote from Sam Altman there. A lot more in the newsletter on those stories and more. If you haven't, if you're listening live, please, go check out the newsletter. But if you are on the podcast and maybe you only listen to us on the podcast, you're missing out. So in the show notes every single day, we put links so you can join us, but also links to, go and read our sign up and read our daily newsletter. All right. So a couple of people tuning in. Thank you, Brian, joining from the Gulf Coast. Thank you. Nancy asking about the story, destroying jobs. Did Altman give any examples? It's a recent article. I just read the top half, Nancy. There's a lot of AI news, but yeah, we're going to break it down a little bit more in the newsletter today. And all right, Cecilia asking, so where are the folks using AI to promote love and unity? We need more of those. You know what? I will shout someone out, a frequent watcher and someone that tunes into the podcast. Leonard, if you're listening, go ahead and drop your link. But I think he's doing some great things with AI. He's creating, I believe, free to use clip art that just promotes inclusivity. Really cool stuff. So yeah, I do think that there's a lot of great uses for AI in medicine, technology. It is building some equity and equality, I think. But yeah, AI can also be bad and tear us all apart. All right, so let's get into it. Let's talk about, are AI chatbots lying to us? The answer is kind of, right? The biggest thing that I want to talk about is the internet. When all of these chatbots say they're connected to the internet, are they? And what does that actually mean? All right. So before we're going to dive in and do some actual examples and show you, are these chatbots all connected to the internet? Yes or no? But before we get there, I want to talk about why. Maybe you're listening to this, and maybe you listen often, and maybe you're still not using AI chats for basic internet research. Let me tell you one thing: you should be. You should be. We teach this in our free course called Prime, Prompt, and Polish. It is our PP course. I'll throw it up on the screen. We've actually, I know a couple of you, even in the comments, have taken this. We don't share this link publicly, FYI, because I like to think of it as a little treat for our listeners, for people who actually read the newsletter. We never link to it. The page isn't public, but if you want access, just go ahead. In the comments, type in PPP. I'll shoot it over to you. Again, if you're listening on the podcast, there should be a way to email us. Just say PPP. I'll shoot it all over to you. But this is one of the things that we teach, is how you can actually use correctly AI chats to access information on the internet. Because it's not as simple as it seems. But let me first tell you why, right? Because it will make the process of almost anyone's day-to-day job much easier and much more impactful. Quick example. So I spent about 9 years working at a nonprofit. And one of my biggest roles there was working on partnerships, right? And I even remember back, we had an opportunity pretty early on to work with Nike and Jordan Brand in a really big way, right? This was a huge opportunity. And I was one of the people in charge of helping put together the proposal, the presentation, but it was a big deal, right? For a nonprofit to have a really big partnership, very visible, right? So this was to help create Michael Jordan's community program called Wings, right? So I remember I read so many web pages, right? So did a lot of Googling, but I read so many web pages and took notes, and a lot of people on our team did. Collectively, we probably spent more than 100 hours researching every single other nonprofit that had a partnership with Nike. We were reading their annual reports to see how they were mentioning, what were the metrics that they were kind of publishing specifically in terms of their relationship with Nike, right? So we were looking at all these different partnerships, taking notes, and it took, like I said, probably more than 100 hours collectively. This is something now, if you know how to use AI chats correctly, the right one, then that whole task would have taken minutes, right? To instantly be able to read the entirety of dozens or hundreds of web pages in one click is a huge time saver for anyone out there, right? So even if in your mind you're like, oh, AI is not for me, I don't want to be, writing my content in chatbots, that's fine. Okay, sure. But in my opinion, there's really no reason not to use it for reading, for researching, for analyzing, and for summarizing. All right. That's such a huge functionality of all of these AI chatbots that people just overlook, right? Because regardless of our role, this is the one, I think, commonality that unites us all. If you have a desk job, you are probably doing a lot of reading and a lot of researching on the internet. All right. So now that I have that set up, a couple comments coming in. So Dawn saying she would love to receive the newsletter. We got you. Ben, shout out Ben. Ben said Jordan's PPP training is a great course. Lots of info, no BS. I agree, Ben. Yeah, just drop in PPP. I'll send it to you. All right. So instead of me just telling you, hey, here's how chatbots lie, let's take a look at it live together. And I'm going to do my best. If you are joining on the podcast, I'm going to do my best to just tell you, here's what's happening when I put this query into this chatbot. Okay. But there's always a link in the show notes that you can just go back and watch. So let's start at the top. So we are first going to go into Cloud 2. So Cloud 2 actually just added something a week ago. I did a video review on Cloud 2, and one of the things that struck me, and this isn't specific to them, but when I asked Cloud 2 from Anthropic to summarize a website, it just lied to me, right? That wasn't good. But in the last week, or might be 10 days, they've updated something here. All right. So what I'm doing is I'm saying, please summarize this article, and I'm putting a link to an article. So let me quickly just show all you guys that this article. All right. So I use this article a lot in testing because on this page, this is an episode we did with Dr. Harvey Castro called The Future of AI in Healthcare. Make sure to give it a listen or a watch if you haven't already. But we have, we have an overview of the episode that we wrote up. We have multiple, videos embedded. And then also down here, we have a full transcript at the bottom of the page, right? So not that it's a complex page, but there's multiple elements. And I always want to see, okay, is there a difference between if you have a page that's plain text versus a page with a lot of different elements on there, right? Multiple embeds. I think there's 5 different embeds on this page, different headings, all that stuff. So let's just jump in back into Cloud and see if Cloud can summarize. So here's the great thing that Cloud just added. If anyone knows what date this was added, let me know because I want to be accurate. But I did do a video on this in our AI in 5 series about 5 to 10 days ago, and it did not have this warning anymore, right? So right now, finally, it says Cloud can't visit links. Responses may contain hallucination. So thank you. That is a very responsible thing for AI chats to do because for so long they didn't, right? Cloud 2 is new, but at first it didn't say that, and it would just summarize. And, it did spit out a summary here, and none of it's correct, right? But I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that now because it says right now, Cloud can't visit links. All right. Which is actually probably important to talk about. So maybe I should first hit rewind. Why do you need to visit links on the internet at all, right? Because essentially, the GPT technology and Google's technology is a collection of I think Google's is Palm 2. It's a collection of everything essentially on the internet up to September 2021. Okay, so there's this big thing that's called the knowledge cutoff. Also, you can't, even for things before 2021, even if you put an article, maybe articles from 2018, 2019, that's not how large language models work. They don't necessarily scrape the web, right? So even what Cloud does here, and it's hallucination, but it does admit, all it's doing is it's looking at the keywords of my URL here of the episode with Dr. Harvey Castro, right? So, which is called The Future of AI in Healthcare. So all it's doing is it is running a query, right? So in a lot of the messaging from, whether it's Google, OpenAI, Microsoft, whoever, it's a lot of it's marketing language, which I understand. It's say, oh, you're connected to the internet, but that does not mean that you can read specific websites. So there's a huge difference, and we talk about this in our PPP course and then our pro course that we're launching in August as well. All free, don't worry. One of the things that we talk about is the difference between web queries and reading web links. And it's very, very different. And it's very important to understand, specifically for a task like this, right? If you have all these articles that you want to read and you just want a kind of a summary of a lot of different articles. So Cloud has improved. So Cloud is technically lying to us when it says it can access the internet, because it can't access specific things that we ask it to. But it does pull in information from the internet. But I'm glad that Anthropic, added that recently. All right. Next, we are looking at Perplexity. Don't worry, we're going to get to all the big names. All the big names here. A couple other comments. I'm going to try to get to them. So Cecilia saying, I need PPP. I got you, Cecilia. Leonard saying, oh, Leonard, what's up? Shouted your art out earlier. He's done a bunch of Bard summaries and they were actually accurate thoughts. It depends. Sometimes it's accurate. Sometimes it lies, right? And we're going to see here live. We're going to see how Bard does. Yeah, I've done this. I have a spreadsheet somewhere and I've done it at different times. Early on, even, Anthropic, Bard, Bing Chat, terrible with hallucinations, even when you give it a URL. Again, most of the time, what it does, and, we do testing on this all the time. When we test, as an example, PDF readers for ChatGPT plugins, I will literally hide one little line in a 100 page PDF, and I'll ask all the different PDF plugins about that information, and I'll see, okay, which ones are actually reading it. So we've done tests before. We're on a website. We'll do the same thing. We'll put something in there, but I wanted to keep this kind of simple and high level. All right, so let's next look at Perplexity. So Perplexity is a great tool. Not a lot of people use it or know about it, but it's fantastic. So the way I would describe Perplexity, it is more search, an AI search engine, I would say, than where I think people with cloud and OpenAI, they think of it as writing tons of long form content, right? And being able to do really impressive things with data interpretation, all of that. That's not Perplexity necessarily. I think Perplexity is most known for being essentially a smart AI search engine. It can write, yes, but the biggest thing is citations. I think that's why people use and love Perplexity. So again, I'm saying the same article. Please summarize this article and with the link. This is I think about 2 months ago, they released Copilot, which is essentially a smarter version of their free. You have to be logged in to use it, but it's free. So let's go ahead and run this same query. Also, what's important to understand, like any large language model or even a website, or even Google, results are always going to be different. This is something I've found as well when testing different plugins. Doing the same exact query, different days, different hours on the exact same plugin, it's not always, you're not always going to get 100% the same results. Just like when you Google something, the SERPs or the search engine results pages in Google change literally by the minute. You can run a search and run it 10 minutes later and get completely different results. So let's take a look at Perplexity. Did it do a good job? No, it didn't. But that's okay, because here's the thing. Not all AI chats do this, but right here it says searching the web, and it says it's searching for this site. And instead of looking at that site, which is episode 47, it considered these different sources. So this is great with Perplexity. You can see where they're drawing this information from. So it looks like it started at some of our older episodes. It looks like it went probably, so we got 6, 9, 3, 11, 43, but it didn't look at episode 47, right? So it didn't visit the exact, which is again, this is weird, because when I just did this 10 minutes ago, got completely different results. It was bringing in other results on the future of AI in healthcare from other websites. And now when I do it, it's just bringing in unrelated episodes from the Everyday AI website, right? So it's not a great summary, but it's not about episode 47. I'll just say that. It essentially recaps the words in the URL and writes a little sentence about it. It says episode 47 of the Everyday AI podcast discusses the future of AI in healthcare and its potential impact on the medical industry. That is correct, but everything else in here that it says, again, I'm not going to read it to you. You can check it out. Again, nothing in here is wrong, but it essentially says While the podcast episode itself is not available in the search results, it is likely that the discussion covers various aspects of AI applications in healthcare. That's the thing. It is available in the search results, but even when I gave Perplexity the URL, it wasn't able to grab it. All right, so let's go on to Bard. Let's see what Bard is going to do. Google Bard. Will it lie to us, or will it tell us the truth with an article? Right? Let's find out. Here's the thing. If you've listened to some of my earlier episodes, I've always said, don't waste your time in Bard. It's not that good. It's much better now. So they released a lot of new updates about 2 weeks ago, and I think it's definitely worth using now and worth checking out. The biggest thing before is they didn't have history, and you can see now they do have history. That was one of the things that, at least for me, I couldn't recommend that people use this, because if you spend time in a large language model, you really want to work with these individual chats to kind of tell them what you want. So just to put that out there, I think it's pretty good now. So again, putting this into Bard, and I'm saying, please summarize the article, and I put the URL. So now, again, it's saying, I'm unable to help you with that, as I'm only a language model and don't have necessary information or abilities. Interesting, right? Again, completely got something completely else about right before I was doing this on the show. I hit regenerate. Now it says, I'm just a language model, so I can't help with that. So I'm gonna try to say this in a different way. I'm gonna say, please summarize episode 47 of the Everyday AI podcast. So we're going to try that, see how that works. All right. So hallucination here, but that's fine, right? It's important we know what AI chats can actually access the internet and what that means, right? So Bard here, when I said, please summarize episode 47 of the Everyday AI podcast, it says, sure. Episode 47 of the Everyday AI podcast is titled The Future of AI in Healthcare. That much is correct. Everything else after that is made up. So it says, in this episode, hosts Brian and Emily talk to Dr. Daniel Kraft. Again, that's all made up, right? So can Google Bard access the internet? Yes. Can it consistently recap or summarize information that you want it to, even if you give it a URL? No, it can't, right? Again, I always encourage everyone, run your own tests, because again, you will get wildly different results in so many of these chats. Run results. But if you're still listening, stay tuned to the end, because there is a way to do this correctly. So let's now jump over, and apologies, the screen's jumping a little bit. So I have to go into a new window here to visit Bing chat, right? So let's go ahead and run it in Bing chat. So good news, Bing chat soon will be coming to Chrome, and then I can stop using the Edge browser. But they announced that, but it's not out just quite yet. So I'm putting this query into Microsoft Bing chat, saying, again, please summarize episode 47 of the Everyday AI podcast. Here's the link. So let's see what happens here. All right. I'll read it to you, but again, not working. So it says episode 47 of the Everyday AI podcast is titled The Future of AI in Healthcare. That so much is correct. And it features, now we have new doctors, so many doctors that weren't on the show. It features Dr. Helen Fraser, a radiologist and AI researcher, and blah, blah, blah. So it keeps going on, right? So you might be wondering, wait, is it not connected to the internet? Are Microsoft Bing Chat and Google Bard not connected to the internet? They are connected to the internet. But they, as large language models, as you saw some of these responses, even if you give them a website that's been around for 10, 15 years, you might not be able to specifically summarize, because in most cases, it is going to take the keywords that you give it and run a query, right? The good thing is most, you know, chats will also give you sources. Not all of them, right? So we saw in Google Bard, it didn't give us sources, but down here, it is giving us sources. So it was pulling in information from just, it looks like other podcasts, right? So essentially in this instance, they Googled, I'm guessing Googled, they Bing searched, they binged. Is that a thing? But they binged Podtail, iHeart, and I'm looking at the URLs at the bottom. You can't see it. But it looks like there's just other podcasts that were talking about the future of AI in healthcare. So essentially it just ran a query and it didn't see or find the URL that I gave it first, right? Because when you run a query, even if I say the words everyday AI, if a podcast did this 5 years ago and they were talking about the future of AI in healthcare 5 years ago, and they mentions the word everyday and AI in there, it might show up in search results above the link that I gave it, above, kind of the episode that I had with Dr. Harvey Castro, right? So that's important. It's so important to understand how all of these chats access the internet and what they can and cannot do with a simple even URL, summarizing a web page, right? So here again, technically it's a hallucination, right? But at bare minimum, I am glad to see that Anthropic is giving you, Anthropic is giving you that message now, saying, "Hey, we can't read URLs," because before it didn't say that. And I do always like and appreciate when, if Bing Chat, as an example, doesn't give you what you think, you can at least go down at the bottom here, look at these different links, and seeing where they're pulling information from. All right, you can probably guess. Last but not least, we have ChatGPT, right? My personal favorite. And people probably always wonder, like, "Hey, Jordan, why do you talk so much about ChatGPT?" Well, it's just better. It's better, right? Pay the $20 a month because it is much better. Let me go ahead and bring up our page one more time, just as a reminder. So this is the page we are trying to get summarized. Okay. So we're going to jump into ChatGPT. All right. So I have the paid version. I was already playing around with this just so I could give you guys accurate information. So I'm going to start a new chat. I'm going to go to GPT-4 default. Here's the thing. There's no reason to ever use the default version, I don't think, of GPT-4, right? Because if you're paying the $20 a month, you should always be using the plugins or the code interpreter. And we get into that more into our PPP course. But by default, you'll see if you give the same query, please summarize this page and put the link into even GPT-4, it's saying, "I'm sorry for the confusion, but as an AI, I'm currently unable to directly access or interact with the internet," right? Of course. So plugins to the rescue, right? Of course. So I'm going to give an example. And again, this is a little advanced, but one thing that we teach in both our PPP course and the Pro course is plugin packs, right? Because with ChatGPT, it is so incredibly powerful, right? Here, even just as an example, we added some things to our training. We're always updating it, but plugin packs are amazing. This is something I don't even think I've shown this anywhere except to a few people, but we are creating plugin packs at Accelerant Agent or at Everyday AI, where it's the best combination because you can only have 3 plugins. And when you start a chat, and we always tell people you need to train that chat up, but in plugin mode, you can only give it 3 plugins, right? So let's say you're working on a project with data and visualization, so you can put plugins that can help you, plot data and visualize data as an example. But if you're midway through your chat and you're like, "Oh, wait, I need access to read a PDF," you can't then add another plugin if you already started. So you have to kind of pick, when you start a new chat, you have to say, "Hey, this is for this project to solve this business problem. And I'm going to go ahead and use these 3 plugins," because that's all you can use is 3, right? So in this example, this is document data visualization, where it's literally taking at the bottom a 100-page PDF It's pulling all of the information that I tell it to in this prompt above. It's pulling it out. It's putting the data into a CSV for me. And this data is coming from multiple pages of that 109-page PDF. And not only that, in one prompt, then it's also plotting all of that data. So again, think of this. This is a 109-page PDF. It's grabbing data from all different pages that we tell it to. It's accurate. It puts it in a CSV and automatically plots that in a graph, right? Wild. Anyways, that's what a plugin pack is. And that's why you have to be very specific about what plugins you want. But I always tell people when we talk about plugins, bare minimum, you need one that can read the internet. And there's a difference because there's plugins that can query the internet, and there's plugins that can read links. Different thing. Okay. I know this is a lot, but stick with me. Hopefully it'll make sense. So in this article, or I'm sorry, in this chat, I have 3 different plugins enabled. Here's the thing with ChatGPT, you can't necessarily tell it which plugin to use. You can try, it won't always do it. So I said, summarize this article. And you'll see here, it used MixerBox, which is actually one of my favorite plugins. But MixerBox even has different functionality in there. So in this case, it actually did a web query instead, and I didn't get really accurate information. Okay, but go into a new one here. Sorry, I'm jumping all over. Let's just do this live. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to go into plugins. I know it's a longer episode, guys. So I just have one. I have one plugin now, right? Because I know there's at least 8 different plugins that can do a very good job of reading just URLs you give it. So last but not least, we're going to end on this. We're going to end in a high note, and we're going to say, yes, AI chats can read the internet if you give it a link. You just have to use the right thing. Again, the only one that I'm seeing consistently, and we just did a test live, the only one I'm seeing consistently being able to read and summarize a specific web page is ChatGPT with the correct plugin enabled. I mean, anyone can offer your own opinion, right? But I just did it live. You just saw the results. Cloud, no, but at least it told us it can't read the internet if we give it a URL. Perplexity, sometimes, but not really, right? It made things up, but at least it told us. The same thing with Bing Chat. Did it read the internet? Not really. It just Googled keywords in our URL. Bard is a mixed bag. Sometimes it does okay. Sometimes you really just have to encourage Bard, or you have to get, say, oh, of course you can read this. Here's how, But by default, all over the place, but not very accurate. And we saw hallucinations. ChatGPT with the proper plugin, it nailed it, right? And as soon as I say this, guys, I literally just ran this before. This plugin did not nail it. This is important, right? It's funny, you can do all the prep you can for a show, and you're gonna get different results, right? So let me see here. Okay, here's the one I did earlier. So a good example, even using the same plugin, I got different results. So it's important to always run quality checks on the plugins if you're relying on them for any major part of your business. But in this example here, I can read and I can see, okay, it did read the entire text of this web page, which includes the transcripts. Okay, I'm scrolling through it. It's a lot. And then down here in this chat, it does properly summarize this chat. All right, all over the place. But what I hope this helped with, guys, is to know you really have to be careful relying on AI chats to read and summarize the internet. And I think it's one of the most important and most impactful use cases of how the everyday person can use AI to help make their job easier, because most of us do spend a lot of time reading and researching. But as you saw, it can be tricky. You always have to do a little quality check and really check the sources and check the work. All right. This was a long one, but I hope it was helpful, right? I hope this was a great end to your week with this Everyday AI episode. So as a reminder, youreverydayai.com. We have our free daily newsletter, right? There's actually, I kid you not, guys, there's paid There's paid daily newsletters for AI. I think we do the best job. Am I biased? Yeah, I'm biased. But the difference is with our newsletter, every single day we bring on, not every single day, but mostly every single day, we bring on an expert and you can learn from them and you can ask questions, right? And then in our newsletter, we dive deep on not just what was discussed, but how the everyday person can actually use that. Because I think one of the most difficult things that we're trying to address with everyday AI is what you can do with all of this information. What can you do with all of this innovation? And that's what we really tackle in the newsletter. We break down what we talked about on the show. We have other tips. We share about what new tools and software are out there, and we also just really go deep in how you can actually apply this all. And one more shout out, because I think our contest ends Sunday or Monday. It ends on the 31st, which is Monday. All right. So make sure you go sign up there right here on the website to win 6 months of ChatGPT Plus. So again, to do all those things, you have to have the ChatGPT Plus. It's $20. So go do that. Sign up for the contest. Refer friends. You can get to the top of the leaderboard, or if you just enter in, that's all it takes. Go in, enter your information. You're signing up for the newsletter and doing so, but 6 free months of ChatGPT Plus and 6 lessons. I'm going to sit down with you and we're going to break down how you can actually use ChatGPT to grow your business, to grow your career, to grow your company. All right. That's it, y'all. Thank you for joining us. I hope to see you back again on Everyday AI. Thanks.